James Helder, IFL TV, in association with MTK Global. With me, I've got none other than promoter Eddie Hearn. We're here at the final press conference for Anthony Joshua v Vladimir Klitschko. All the talking's done.
Yes, and Vladimir's got a memory stick of exactly how he's going to beat Anthony Joshua.
Couldn't come onto the memory stick.
I know, it was unbelievable. I was like, okay.
Did you know about that beforehand?
No, but I was expecting him to say, and on Monday, only one person will see this memory stick, and that is Anthony Joshua.
Yeah,
that's what I thought. I know. It's like, and it's the guy who wins the auction for my children's charity. I was like, oh, nice touch, but I thought you were going another direction with that. Yeah. But still interesting. Blatant mind games as well. I mean, you know, a nice something to think about for his foundation, but still mind games in my opinion. And Joshua, I think, he definitely hasn't snapped, but he wants to fight now. He don't want to talk anymore. You know, we're backstage there in the green room. He's got RTL, HBO, Showtime. You know, all the international media, JD Sports, William Hill, and it's like, let me go home. And we need to get him out of here now. Rest up for the weigh-in. Just chill out, get the last bit of energy together before the big one, the ultimate test. You know, this is what we live for.
It's getting a little bit spicy. Klitschko at some point today, he was quite short with certain aspects of the media. He's quite funny at times as well.
And he interrupted AJ to answer the question for him, which is really annoying in itself. But
shouted out fake news.
Yeah, that was funny. Yeah. No, he's in good spirits. I like Klitschko because he's a gentleman, but also after all he's achieved and all the money he's earned, this obsessed thing is true. He's obsessed by winning and becoming the man again, and I really respect that. I don't think he can do it, but listen, if he does, maximum respect to him. Speaking
of career earnings, this fight will make Joshua the highest paid boxer in one night on British soil for persons. Is that true?
Yeah.
You think of literally all the fantastic sportsmen and fighters that earn money.
And you know what? And you know, whether you choose to believe me or not, I honestly don't think that he's thought about that. Like, obviously, when he looked at the deal and you know the fight, it's something you have to consider and look at. But I promise you, from the moment he started training for this fight to today, he has not thought about the money he's going to earn for this fight.
It's incredible to think of his potential career earnings.
Yeah, but he doesn't see it as like. He just gave an interview with ITV, and they said, "What would it mean to you to win this fight?" And he went, "Not a lot." And I'm like, "Whoa, do you want to cut that one and just say something else there?" What he means by that is this is just the beginning of where he wants to get to. So, you know, when he beat Charles Martin, I jumped in the ring. Yes, heavyweight. He's like, yeah. I'm like, hey, you're world champion. Oh, we've got a long way to go. You know, we've got to beat them all. And I'm like, and that actually fills me with confidence because it shows me his expectations of himself. If he was looking at this fight as if to say, oh, this is the ultimate, this is my legacy fight. If I win this, I've achieved all I've wanted to achieve. No, he doesn't feel like if he wins this, he's achieved half of what he wants to achieve. So he sets the bar high, you know, and two great athletes, two great fighters, two great minds. I'm shitting myself, to be honest with you.
If Tyson Fury wouldn't have made him look so ordinary, do you feel this fight would have happened so soon?
I think he would have boxed him this year, whether he had one more or whatever. He's always fancied this fight, and so's Rob McCracken. So different, you know, styles make fights. You know, Fury did a brilliant job against him, but he also ran for 12 rounds and, you know, made him. No, I mean, I'm not. You're laughing. That's not a discredit to Tyson Fury. He had the perfect game plan to beat Klitschko. But Joshua is not going to run for 12 rounds and make him miss and put his hands behind his back and frustrate him. He's going to stand in front of him and let his hands go. That might be a danger rather than a blessing, you know? So what Tyson did was he put the perfect game plan together to beat Klitschko, but that's not going to be Joshua's game plan going into this fight.
Vladimir Klitschko's obviously had things his own way in his career. People say that Joshua hasn't faced anyone like Klitschko, but do you feel that Klitschko's faced anyone like Joshua in the last sort of
never. But he has faced a variety of styles that have given him the experience needed to beat other styles. So you can't compare Joshua's experience with Klitschko's experience. But I would say that in terms of the level golf, Klitschko's boxed a lot more people that are closer to Joshua's level than Joshua has fought people who are closer to Klitschko's level. I've no idea if that made sense, but I think it did.
Do you think April 29th we could see Vladimir Klitschko finally go into the sunset and take after April 29th?
You might see one of the greatest comebacks in British boxing history. You may see Anthony Joshua become the biggest star in British sport and in world boxing by brutally knocking out Vladimir Klitschko. I have no idea how this fight's going to play out. I don't know if Vladimir's going to get on his bike and try and do a fury to Joshua that Tyson did to Vlad, or he's going to meet him in the middle of the ring, try and push him back and dominate him. He's bigger than him, by the way. When they do the head-to-head, every time I think he's a size, Vladimir Klitschko. He's a lump. Does he have the cojones to back Joshua up and have a firefight with him? I'll tell you what, if he does that, it's going to be frightening to watch because it's going to be brutal.
Talking to Jonathan Banks, sorry to interrupt.
Yeah. No, I think it'll be a chess match for 2 rounds, then I think it'll be a shootout.
Talking to Jonathan Banks, he's under the impression that Klitschko has to throw right hands. He sort of nullified his own work against Fury. He didn't know where to throw enough punches.
I wouldn't say he's gun shy, but...
So he gets the fact that he gets countered when he throws.
Yeah, but he's a counter puncher. He likes to counter punch. He likes to move his feet, and he does have great footwork as well. But I don't think he likes getting hit either. And I know that's people say, well, who likes getting hit? But you don't want to be getting hit by Joshua. If Joshua hits him clean, it's over. But listen, if Vlad hits Joshua clean, he's in trouble. So that's the beauty of heavyweight boxing.
We've seen Joshua being sort of vulnerable to a left hook in the past that come round with Dillian White. As an example of that, do you think Klitschko will be looking for that punch?
No, he got caught by that punch because he lost his rag and went absolutely mental. He was sticking his tongue out in the first round, calling him names and trying to knock out Dillian White without a care in the world. And he got caught and he nearly paid the price. You learn from things like that. He won't lose his mind in this fight. He'll be disciplined. But he must make sure that he shows the minimum amount of respect needed whilst also not being reckless.
What I thought was a fantastic touch was Anthony Joshua buying a car for his old trainer as an amateur, and not that, highlighting it and putting the man's gym on national press.
He was really proud of doing that, and actually there's been plenty other examples of that kind of generosity that you haven't seen and you probably will never see. He likes to look after people, and there's been a lot of people that have contributed to the success of Anthony Joshua, and Sean Murphy's one of them. And like he said in that video, without Sean Murphy, perhaps we wouldn't be sitting here today. So you have to remember, whatever happens in your life, you have to remember the people that helped you on the way. And actually, it doesn't mean those people helped you financially. It doesn't mean big up video that people, they could have just invested their time, or they could have just invested their words in you. Yeah. And once you reach certain heights, it's very easy to forget those people. Not because you're a nasty person, just because you've got so much going on. I'm probably guilty of it as well. When I first started out, there were people that were backing me and helping me and pushing me on. And perhaps now you get to a level where you don't forget about them, but you have so much going on.
Time consumption.
Yeah. Spencer Fearon's a good example. When I started out, Spencer Fearon was really giving me a push and telling me, times where I got criticised, he was phoning me up and saying, oh, listen, and I will always try and help Spencer and pick up his calls, but there will be times where I see a couple of calls from Spencer Fearon, and I know he's going, oh, look at him now, big time, he's up. So sometimes it's just a time thing, but it's very important, whatever you do, to remember who helped you, a bit like IFL. I'm sure there's people who helped you to get to where you are today.
No,
actually, fucking me, to be honest with you. But no, seriously though, it doesn't matter, whatever form of life you're in, someone would have helped you, and you mustn't forget that, and he's very good at that. He really sits down and thinks about that.
And I do appreciate that, again, you are only on the end of a phone 24 hours a day.
No worries, I'm here. The problem is
that.
when I'm on the phone, I get 5 or 6 missed calls, and then when I call one of them back, I get another 5 or 6 missed calls, so people think I'm just ignoring them, but,
let's talk a little bit. Oh, just want to touch on yesterday on the way home on the train. I saw one of the other amateur coaches who helps out with obviously the man that got the car, and he was a bit lost. I gave him directions, got him home. Obviously, can't take all the credit.
Yeah.
But it turns out Joshua gave him 4 ringside tickets for his
really?
wife and kids as well.
Really?
So
well,
generosity that's not mentioned again.
Yeah. I mean, at 2K a pop. You know, you don't have to do that, do you? In fact, I'll be talking to him, to be honest with you.
That's fair, it was a nice gesture.
It is. He's very, you know, all that kind of stuff. All the Team GB boys, you know, he makes sure they're all looked after.
Any news regarding Tony Bellew? What's in the mix?
Not really.
I mean, changed since we last
I mean, I think that, you know, there's 3 fights for Tony Bellew: Deontay Wilder, Joseph Parker, and David Haye. The Haye fight is uncertain because we don't know about the injury. You know, I think Tony's going to fight September, October-ish, and I think Joseph Parker is probably the favourite right now.
Does Tyson Fury's name creep into that equation?
Yeah, I mean they've spoke a little bit like internally. I think they've got respect for each other, and Tyson's a big heavyweight, you know, and obviously Tony's a cruiserweight, so you know we're much better matched with the smaller guys. But also Fury against Bellew is a huge fight. But listen, there's no one who wants to see Tyson Fury back more than me and Anthony Joshua, but it's a long way to go. So let's talk about it. Let's hear from them when they're ready to go, because we've got a few guys that are ready to go as well. And you know, I think heavyweight boxing, you know, doesn't need Tyson Fury, but he's a massive asset to the division. So we hope to see him back.
I think that's the first time I've seen you deflect a fight away from Tony Bellew in Tyson Fury. Yeah.
No, because I don't think it's not necessarily a fight we're targeting. I'm not saying Tony will fight anyone, but you know, he's not targeting Anthony Joshua. Joshua's huge, you know. When you watch, like the other night, I watched Vladimir Klitschko against David Haye. It was like not man and boy, but you know, it was like size difference, and that's when you think actually you're at a massive disadvantage when you're a lot smaller. So Bellew against Fury, he's at a big size disadvantage. The same with Joshua against Parker, who's still a big guy, but not of the same mould, in my opinion. You know, and of course David Haye, Bellew's got much more of a shot. So we don't want to take a fight for the money, we want to take a fight to win.
Do you think the David Haye fight, if he does manage to get himself into contention to come back towards the end of the year, is the best possibility for the lot?
It's perhaps the biggest, but Tony also wants to fight for the heavyweight championship of the world.
Brilliant.
So, you know, that's got to be a focus too.
Quick word on Ryan Burnett.
Yeah, big news.
He's going to be facing Lee Haskins for the IBF World Title in Belfast.
Yeah, back to my roots. Back to my roots. Eddie O'Hearn is back in the building. Listen, I had some of my favourite nights in Belfast, and it's been many years since we've been there. We go there with the darts a lot, and it always sells out. And
is there love for Eddie O'Hearn in Belfast?
We'll find out, won't we? I hope so, because you know, all I've ever done is put on good events in Belfast, and all I've tried to do is bring big time boxing back to Belfast. So it doesn't, you know, this shouldn't be about I don't like Eddie Hearn, I'm not going. This is about a Belfast kid in Ryan Burnett who's got a chance to become a world champion against an Englishman in Lee Haskins. So don't worry about Eddie Hearn, worry about supporting your own. And I know that one thing that, you know, that country and that city do is support their own. It's not Ryan Burnett fighting for the European title. It's a chance for another world champion from Northern Ireland and a pure Belfast boy. So get behind him, and you know, I'm going to try and put on the best card we can. I want to bring big time boxing back to Belfast, but we can't do it without the support of the people. And what better way to come back to the city with one of your own challenging for a world title? And I'm really pleased for Ryan and Adam Booth. And by the way, it's a very tough fight.
Will you be working with any local promoters to bring in local talent?
Yeah, I've spoken to
that card?
Yeah, you know, I spoke to Matthew Macklin, I spoke to Mark Dunlop, spoke to Packy Collins, spoke to Kieran Farrell. Listen, we need young talent coming through on our shows in Belfast. This is not a one-off. You know, the plan here is that Ryan Burnett goes to win a world title, and we make Belfast a regular fixture on our calendar again. But it's a very tough fight. But again, I wanted to come back with a world title fight, and now we've got it.
Quick word on Brooke Spence as well before we go.
4 weeks on Saturday.
4 weeks on Saturday.
As soon as this fight, I mean, someone said to me, "You're going to go on holiday next week?" I said, "No, we're working on Yafai in Birmingham and then Brooke Spence." So 2 weeks on Saturday, we got Yafai's homecoming, Eggington for the European title, Gamal Yafai against Sean Davis for the Commonwealth as well, and then 2 weeks after that, we've got Brooke Spence, which I think is the fight of the year. So we're going to be hammering those two after this. and it don't stop, we don't stop. It's IFL, it's Matchroom, it's Sky Sports, it's Coogie Bear, it's Man Like Helder. What are you saying?
What I want to know is, after this fight's over, what car are you going to treat yourself to after AJ Klitschko fight week? And don't tell us you're not, because you always do.
No, you know, this is not about the cars or the you know, the houses. This is about working hard, staying humble, and respecting yourself, respecting the journey. You know, we don't get up at 7 in the morning and get home at 10 at night just for the beauty of materialistic things. Probably a Rolls Royce, but no, I'm happy. I'm happy. My life, you know, what makes me happy is putting on great events, and I'm depressed when the shows aren't that good. And I will say that, you know, the Liverpool show the other week, it was okay. It was okay, but I don't want to do okay. And I think there's got to be. I'm just looking at the strategy now. Our year-on-year strategy is July the 1st to June the 31st. So that's when our next year of our contract starts with Sky, and you're going to see some changes. I think people want big events. People don't want, you know, they either want the big fuck-off mansion, or you want something that's cheap and great value. The middle stuff don't really sell. And I think that's with us. We need to push more on next gen, make sure the Olympians come, get their exposure and flourish, and we need the bigger events, you know, multiple world title fights, away from pay-per-view as well. And I think just to consolidate a little bit with our dates will probably enable us to do that.
Do you think we could see more guys fighting British guys rather than the international opponents?
Yeah, we need to. And you know,
sort of
I was talking to Tony Bellew about this the other day, and sometimes fighters and managers don't want to be in the fights that I believe they should be in. And actually, Tony says, you need to fuck them off. Obviously, it's not that easy. You've got a responsibility as a promoter to guide a fighter's career and give them the best opportunities. But when it is time to pull that trigger, we need to pull the trigger. Because the only one that gets it in the neck, that the fights aren't good enough, the fights aren't competitive enough, they're too one-sided, is me. And I don't want to see those fights. So, you know, don't think that if you see a fight that's one-sided that I'm sitting there going, this is great, because I'm not. I'm also a fan that's sitting there going, this is shit. And we've got to stop that. And you've got to allow fighters to develop. That might be on next gen, that might, you know, on other paths, but on championship fight night, they have to be in proper fights. And that we need to stand together as promoters and broadcasters to ensure that fighters take those right times at the right places. You know, Sky, BT, Channel 5, ITV have got to turn around and say, that's not good enough. Because I've put on fights that are not good enough. For the benefit of my fighter, just, you know, maybe I've just been overrun, or I thought, oh, go on then. You can't be, oh, go on then. It's got to be, no, that's not good enough for TV. Because it's competitive now. I can't get away with it, you know. I'm not saying I've got away with it in the future, but if I did an average show that didn't rate great, no one really cared. We were,
move on to the next show.
Yeah. Now we're comparing it. All of a sudden, maybe that's not as good as an ITV show or a BT show. We can't have that. We need to be number one. So we've got to keep evolving all the time and make sure that we are number one. But it's not just us. It's the fighters, the managers, the advisors who have to understand the demands of fans and broadcasters as well. So let's make real fights. And you know, if you're good enough, you'll win. It's simple as that. And if you're not, but you're in good fights, you'll come again, and your value will only increase.
Have you watched any of the competitive competition of the new ilk of?
Yeah. I've watched. You know, I watched the ITV show. I watched the Channel 5 shows. People say about, oh, you always say you don't watch BoxNation. I only didn't watch BoxNation because I wasn't a subscriber, not because I didn't think it was a good channel. I watched some of the BT stuff. I thought it was good. I think BT. I believe our fighters stable in terms of quality and profile is on another level. But BT are doing a great job, particularly on the social media side, particularly with the digital programming, support programming, and I'm enjoying the competition. Trust me. You know, I don't go to bed at night going, oh, I can't believe BT are doing boxing. I go to bed and go, how can we be the best? How can we continue to dominate the sport? That's good news for fans.
Does it turn the fact that not just BT, but the fact these other broadcasters, does it bring more people into boxing, which in retrospect helps everyone?
Yeah, for sure, because you know there's more events, there's greater access to the sport. But you may see a situation where you know, I need to take the line that if we feel and the broadcaster feels that the fighter is ready to pull the trigger and they're not willing to pull the trigger and they're not willing to take the fights the fans want to see and the broadcasters want to see, then we need to say goodbye.
You've touched on this 3 times in this interview. Am I am I sort of guessing this is more of a common theme than maybe me and myself and the other two viewers?
No, it's just something I've been thinking about over the last few days. You know, and again, Tony Bellew, I had a long chat with him about it, and he said to me, you have to get fighters fighting each other, taking risks. You've got to be the best in your city, in the country, in Europe. And if you're not, it doesn't matter. You can stop down a level and you know, re-go there. But he's right. You know, you can't. I don't want to make fights anymore that I go, you know, do you want to fight this guy? I can make this fight. Oh, no, not really. No, we want one or two more. It's like, yeah, but people don't want to see you have one or two more. So how do you expect to get paid for a fight that no one wants to see?
Valid point.
You know, and I've probably been weak in the past. It's not a new thing. Every promoter's weak, whether you end up saying, oh, all right, let him fight him, but it's only damaging us or the sport or the broadcaster. And this really stems from the broadcaster turning around and saying, no, it's not good enough. It could be HBO, it could be Showtime. The promoter goes with a card, right, we want to go here, do this fight, this fight, this fight. That's fine, that's fine. We don't want that fight on air. Oh, come on, you know, he's been on the channel for 3 years. Yes, fine, we'll have him on the channel, but not against him. They've never really done that. They need to start doing it, and we need to comply. We will, because of the competition. But it might be something that, you know, even I have a chat with Queensberry about, or, you know, other promoters, and say we've got to have the same policy.
Quality control.
Yeah, and it's not a case of slinging the fighters in deep end. We will build you to the level we need to, and you need to, till it's ready to take that gamble and that chance. But when it's time, you have to take it. Not in 2 or 3 fights time, now. Or if it's not, 1, you can go. 2, you can take less money and box off air.
Weigh-in tomorrow, times open to the public before we go.
Doors open at 12 o'clock. Massive attendance expected at the weigh-in. Get yourself down there. It's going to be a brilliant occasion, brilliant event. 2 days away from the biggest fight in British boxing history. And, you know, some people, what do you mean? Tell me another one. There isn't. This is it. This is a night you'll remember for a long time. Tune in, enjoy it, and keep supporting British boxing.
Eddie Hearn, thank you very much. You know.
Didn't know.